Welcome people. This is a very random walkthrough. Right, I'm gonna walk you through these two HMOs that I just developed. It's gonna be very, bear with me. It's gonna be very random, right? Like there's no real structure to this video. I'm just gonna show you these two houses, how I developed them, the numbers behind it. Obviously, I know a lot of you guys are pocket watchers, so you want to know that stuff. But the qualitative info as well. So how they actually came about, how I raised the money for them, challenges I face, basically everything that you'd need to know. Everything that if I was watching an in-depth, like just raw video, right? Now this isn't really meant to be fascinating or entertaining in any type of way, then I'd want to know this stuff. So without further ado, this is the kitchen communal area, right? So I think before this used to be almost like it was the middle of the house, so it was weird. It was kind of like where the old kitchen was. So the house stopped, I think it stopped around here, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna go outside and check the brickwork, right? But it stopped around here, so we extended it to the rear by 6 meters. That, funnily enough, we didn't actually need planning permission to do that. All we needed was prior approval, and that just basically means you notify the council, you tell them that this is what you're doing, and then they can't object because there's basically rules, right? And as long as you follow them and the plans follow them, then they say yes. But with planning, even though things might be in line with rules and stuff, they have the option to say no. So that was done under prior approval. And that allowed us to create this extra room here. So you see you got, boom, this ensuite room. Now, the key or the value, where a lot of the value add comes with HMOs is how much rent it produces. Quite simply because we went with a commercial valuation on this. I'm not really going to explain it too much because it will take quite a bit of time explaining what that is, but they just value it based on how much rental income the property produces. And the more rooms you have, basically the more rent it produces, and the more rent it produces, the higher the value, in a nutshell. That's kind of how it works. So yeah, with us being able to create an extra ensuite room, this one rents for about around anywhere from like 600 to 620. All right, that is a significant value add. So yeah, we got ensuite room at the back of the property, the communal kitchen in the center, and then we have, this is where the new entrance is. So typically with houses, obviously you're gonna have the entrance at the front, but with this, the reason why we put it to the side is so we could make this room here. And this is a studio, right? So the old opening used to be, I believe, where this window was either there or around about like there. And imagine if that was the case, you would have had to partition it off, create a hallway for this person in this room to access the staircase, corridor, whatever. And then this one wouldn't have been big enough. So in a nutshell, the reason why we moved the front of the house to the side was so we could create this fully enclosed, self-contained, is that the word? Self-contained studio room here. Boom, you've got another ensuite. Voila. And now this one, £750 a month. What makes it a studio is that it has its own cooking facility. Now, some councils allow it, some don't. some building control inspectors or building inspectors, however you want to call it. Some inspectors allow it, some don't. It just all depends. Fortunately, the ones I was working with my builder, they are fine with it, but some aren't, and they won't actually give you the certificate if you do put cooking facilities in there, and then they basically just make you rip it out. So that's something to be mindful of. Now, here, all right, we've got the like the new staircase. Obviously, you got this as well. This is where like the Wi-Fi and all of that jazz is. We got the extenders as well here. But the key theme, so obviously these were my first ever HMO projects, all right? So it was like unfamiliar territory for me. And I was just trying to make sure that I developed it in a way that made sense, number one, end users in mind as well, so that they can rent well and you wouldn't really have problems. Number two, and number three, making sure that we completed in time. All right, those are the key things, and I don't know if you guys can see all of that. So this is the extension that I'm talking about. You see, we came out here. I believe this is like 0.5 meter or something. So it came out here, extend. So that is the 6 meter rear extension. These houses are semis, which is why we could extend that far without needing full planning permission, and it was just done under prior approval. But yeah, we got another ensuite room. How it works is that there's 2 on each floor. So that's one of the ways to optimize the space of a house to create 6 ensuite rooms. And I know there's a lot of like discourse, like some people don't like HMOs and stuff, but when you do them right, then it actually solves a problem, because not everyone can afford their own space and their own home, like a full, 1-bed apartment with its own bathroom. Because rent is one thing, you've then got bills. Trust me, I know too well about that shit. It's fucking annoying. Bills, council tax, Wi-Fi, etc. All of these things, right? And it adds up, right? Lots of littles make a lot. So a lot of people that are, let's say, graduating from university, they've got a job, right? They can't necessarily afford to live in a flat where they have to pay their own bills, their own council tax, etc. So what HMOs do, the ones that are built well anyway, right? Not like the slum ones. So they give people an all-in-one solution, right? So rather than paying £800 a month rent, plus bills, plus all of this and that, you can pay £600 for this space, right? And you've got, cool, you have to share a kitchen, but you've got your own private quarters almost, space to do work, watch TV, ensuite there, right? And it's actually affordable. Plus the houses were dilapidated as well. So they were just, they were empty basically, right? So you're bringing back housing stock to the market, number one. Number two, you're providing an affordable solution anyway for people. So it's like a win-win almost. But yeah, this is room number, I think this is number 4, number 3, depending on how you look at it. And it's another studio, right? So again, cooking facilities there, ensuite here, boom. All right. And it's funny because both of these houses, they were investor funded. Investor funded literally just meaning I got the money from other people, right? Gave them a win-win scenario, a chance to grow their money rather than it, whether it was chilling in a bank account or whatever, they just didn't know what to do with it. So I gave them an opportunity, and then they gave me the funding that I needed to develop these houses here. So you got these are the loft rooms, These went for just, because they're the smallest, just under 600, like 590 around there. All right, so you got that here, and then you've got another one here. Boom. Yeah. There you go. I actually like these ones the most, funnily enough. I just prefer them. They're like nice and cozy, even though they are the smallest. Nice, cozy, out of the way. Just focus on your own stuff. So yeah, that is this first house here. This one, I think we needed about, cash wise, it was about 120 grand maybe, all in. 120, 130. I forgot the exact breakdown. But that went towards, obviously, the purchase. It went towards like some of the builder deposit. It went towards some of the costs that you incur along the way. So things like architect's fees, obviously other purchase associated costs. You've got like staging costs as well if you're using a company. Furnishing costs as well, because of a HMO, you have to rent it out fully furnished. So that are some of the things that we had to consider when developing, basically. And it's mad to think, because this one, even though we were gunning for, I think we were gunning for around 400 and at least 450,000 on the end value. Let me see where my phone is here. Yeah, we were gunning for around 450. We only ended up getting 440,000. We got shagged, if I'm being honest, with the value, but it is what it is. It's part of the game. So I'll show you guys now. We got 440, I think, on this one. Somewhere here. Yeah. 440,000 on this one, 430,000 on the other one. The beauty is now that the area is Article 4, and that means that the house is, it becomes more valuable, basically. You see that, look? It might be a bit too bright. You see? 440,000 on one house. Yeah. And then on the next one, we got it 430,000. I'll show you guys here. Where are we? Yeah. See that? 430,000. Oh shit. Yeah, market value. You see? So, as I was saying, yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff, to be honest, that I'm going to talk to you guys about with these projects. The first being the fact that, yeah, we had used investors' money, number one, which was great, because when it comes to scale with anything, right, you're always going to be limited if you're trying to use your own money, and that's it. And with scale, typically you have to give up more control, kind of, because you now have investors that you're working with instead of just yourself to answer to. Like the strongest position is always going to be one of complete control and power. And that conflates with using your own money. But in cases like this, especially at the start, when you're trying to scale aggressively, you're going to have to work with other people and investors. You know, businesses do it all the time. Property investors, the biggest developers, right? Typically, if they don't start a fund or something, you're working with, collaborating with other people that have the money. In other words, investors. So it's just part of the game. If you want to play a big game, then it's one of the things that you have to do. And I was forced to learn it very early on, because all of my own capital got stuck in the first house that I'd bought and developed. So after that, I was kind of like, shit, I actually have to, if I want to continue to buy houses, right? Because the thing for me was own as many houses, right, as possible so that I can basically earn an income and it can just pay for whatever the hell I want to do. So when I was in uni, I think I've told this story maybe before, but there was a house that me and my friends were staying in. It was nowhere near this type of quality. It was just like a regular house, right? There were four of us. I don't even think it was HMO licensed or anything. And I remember speaking to the landlord. He told me he's got about like 20 of these, right? And then one day I just looked at the AST. We had signed the AST, and how much rent we were liable to pay over the duration that we were occupying the property for. Bearing in mind, it wasn't even a full year as well, right? I think we entered near either the start or the end of September, and we were there until like May, June. And we collectively paid about 20 grand, right? Imagine he told me he has about 20 of these. 20 grand times 20 properties. That's £400,000 rent, and you're just doing nothing for it. So I was like, fucking hell. You know, rather than complaining that he shouldn't own this many things, blah, 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 whatever, I thought, you know, like this is the way, this is how the world works, right? So let me figure out how I can end up on the other side of the power dynamic. So rather than being the person that's just always renting, paying these landlords, how can I become one of these landlords, right? How can I make the game work for myself? And that's when I became obsessive with trying to, basically just trying to enter property, buy and develop. Because I always fell in love with the development process, the process of turning something run down, dilapidated, to something that is fully functional like this, something that people can live in. So I thought, let me just combine the two. You've got the ownership on one side, you've got the development aspect on the other side. Partly solving a problem as well, because we have a housing crisis, right? And I don't even know how many thousands, hundreds of thousands of homes are just sitting there empty, derelict. I drive past them all the time. And a lot of people don't have the money to develop these things because it's flipping expensive as fuck. Right? I think this house, granted, the scheme of work that we did here is insane, you know, extending at the side and the rear. So we basically did like 3-4 types of extensions. I didn't even really speak about the loft as well. So you've got 3 floors in this property now. Extended at the rear, 6 meters. Extended at the side, yeah, that's 2 extensions. And then we built into the loft, extended on the loft. And we essentially created mini flats, right? We stripped this house back to brick completely, lowered the ceilings, rebuilt the staircase, rebuilt all the floors. In total, it cost about 200 grand to develop. Just this one house, replaced part of the roof as well. There was a bunch of stuff we done. So we bought this one for 130, developed it, 200 grand. You saw the value there, 430, wait, this one was 440,000. Yeah, and obviously now that it's Article 4, it just makes it more valuable with existing HMOs in Article 4 areas. What it means really, without me like rambling on for too long, is that new landlords can't just create a HMO. So they can't just replicate this without going through planning permission from the council. And typically, in areas where Article 4 is imposed, because they've brought it in for that very reason, to stop the conversion of houses from C3 to C4, getting permission to do it is nearly impossible. Not to say that it can't be done, it can be done, but a lot of the times, unless you have a strong case, or like you look at the, what do they call it? The saturation, right? Unless you analyze the saturation in certain areas, then yeah, working with planning consultants can help as well. That's one of the ways I know some people do it. But for the most part, you can't just replicate this now, which makes it more valuable. Supply and demand, right? Lower supply, assuming demand is fixed, it pushes the price up. So that's why the value shoots up. So rental wise, I think this house produces about £4,000 a month, which is crazy. Like, I'm speaking about it like it's just normal. It's not, because obviously these houses have taken my portfolio over like a million or whatever. You know, there's numbers that people speak about and whatnot. It's like, it's something that I always used to want to strive towards. And obviously, when, I'm sure a lot of you guys know, like when you finally arrive at a goal, it's just like, oh, okay, like what's next, right? And that's how it felt with me completing these. It's like, shit, these are done, but what's next, you know? So it's yeah, it just puts things into perspective, really. But it shows that it's possible. Now, if I can do it, then I'm sure all of you can as well. So that's just something to consider. That's something to definitely consider. I think raising wise, for both of them, we needed like 120, 130 for this one, about 120, 130-ish for next door as well. I'm gonna actually take you guys next door and show you what we did there as well. Similar scheme of work, same architect, same builders, but a different color scheme. So it'll be cool to show you what we managed to do there. All right, you lot. Voila, house numero dos, or however the Spanish say it. So this is, yeah, this is the kitchen communal again. We went with I think this is like a mint green type of color scheme. So it's quite smooth. We had stages that just sorted it out for us in terms of like all of the soft furnishings, so things like these, things like that, etc. So it's quite smooth. Now, the scheme of work, like I said, it's the same exact stuff, just a different color scheme. So I'm not gonna waste you lot's time and show you everything because it's pretty much standard. Right, it's the same thing. But yeah, you've got the ensuite room here. How it works is at the back, the ensuite rooms at the back, they're around like 10, 11 square meters, I think it is. Then at the front of the properties on the first and the second floor, or rather the ground and the first floor, you've got the studios. So in each house you've got 2 studios and then 4 en suites, which is why the rent was about 4 bags per month. And it's actually it's a lot, to be honest. Like when you think about that shit, like £4,000 a month from one yard is crazy, to be honest. But you know, there's so much more. There's so much more to do. There's so many more houses for me to buy and develop. So much more to earn. But it's cool to see. Yeah, you got this studio. Boom. I actually kind of prefer the color scheme here a bit, if I'm being honest. Like, it gives it more like splash. All right. You got this right here. Yeah, it's quite cool. Oh shit, I lost the light. Where is it? Here. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, for both of them, we needed about, hold on, what did I say? What did I say to you? Like, well, the first one was like 130, I think. Right, with this one, it was around the same. So about $250,000. So these are when, I don't know if a lot of you would have seen, there was a time on socials I had raised, I think it was like 200 grand in a week or something. right? And that was for these, because I nearly lost, basically I nearly lost both of them. I nearly lost both houses. I was buying one and I had an investor that pulled out, and we were close to securing it. Like we basically had a finish line, right? Like an imposed deadline from the lender that if we didn't meet, they would pull the funding for the project. Which is why I almost just had to put my face to the fire and fucking just say like, yeah, cool, I'm raising 200 grand in fucking however long I did it in. It was scary, I'm not even gonna lie to you, because I didn't even know how the hell I was gonna do it, but it worked, right? I think there's just something happens when you fully commit to making anything happen, right? And this was a testament to that, because I had no clue how on earth I was gonna get that money to buy these, but I ended up doing it. So yeah, it worked. It worked. And like I said before, if I can do it, then I'm sure all of you watching can do it as well. And this is only me really getting started. Like I'm only starting to get into the swing of it. Now that I've got a few of these under my belt, I've got investors that I'm working with under my belt, we can just go on to do bigger and better projects. That's the aim, that's the goal, you know. So if there's anything that you take from this, just understand that, number one, you don't need a crazy amount of money to start up in this anyway, as long as you have the know-how, right? You've got the knowledge and the skill set to be able to find good deals, number one. Number two, leverage investors. Because much of raising money is basically just building relationships, if I'm being honest, like being likable, right? And obviously knowing what you're doing, that's a big part of it. But that you can get from just educating yourself, right? Having someone that's either done it or can show you the ropes. So raising money it's easier than people make it seem. And much of it is just unlocking your brain to knowing it's possible, right? Like humans, like we're weird, right? We're wired towards negativity and just doubting things. Even me at the start, I was thinking, how the fuck is this even possible? But once you've seen it can be done, this is proof it can be done, then it helps to, I think it's like the prefrontal cortex of your brain, right? And that's the one that tells us that, you know, things can't be done and shit like that. But once you feed it evidence, basically show it that it can be done, then you can just start to manipulate yourself psychologically. That's what a lot of this game is, really, just proving to yourself that something can be done. Because what you believe, you'll make a reality. I hate to sound philosophical and shit, but yeah, man, that's a lot of this game, really. Success, life, all of this shit. Let me even show you. I'll show you upstairs as well. Before we go there, let me just turn off these lights. Yeah. Ownership. It starts with the first one. Once you've got the first one under your belt, then you can use that momentum moving forward. That's just how I look at it and approach it. So after I did that first project, after I got my first ever mortgage, I was like, cool. Everything from now should be a lot easier. And that was the case. It was a lot easier. The first of anything is always going to be the most difficult. of absolutely anything will always be the most difficult. So get that first one out of the way. Do whatever you can to get the first one under your belt. Whether it's the first house you buy, whether it's like the first ever boxing fight you do, whether it's the first person you speak to, investor, whatever, woman, whoever it is, just get the first one out of the way. Yeah. And then you have evidence like, shit, this shit works. And that was it for me. Just trying to get the first one out of the way. Once I got the first one out of the way, I was like, okay, cool, this is proof it can be done. All right. You got these two here. Again, this is a studio. And then you got this one here, the ensuite. Again, rear extension, ensuite, bed, boom. How I look at it, right, with these properties, I just look at it like a game, almost like collecting infinity stones. Right, with each house, that's a level of freedom that I'm essentially buying. Because with this one, for example, if I owned it outright cash, yeah, then all of the £4,000 it generates would be mine in my pocket. Imagine that. Obviously, because we're leveraging a mortgage, after you factor in costs, etc., mortgage repayments, management costs, what else? Once you factor in everything, this cash flow is net about 1,000 something per month. About 1,200, maybe 1,300, something along those lines. So imagine even just buying one a year, right? Obviously I'm 24 now. I've got a few already. So if I just continue to buy just one each year, and that's like on the low end, just buying income, then by the time I'm 30, 32, 33, 34, 35, that's how I look at it. By the time I'm that age, I wouldn't have to, I could literally just retire from everything and I'll be calm. And my properties will just pay for everything. And that's how I look at it, it's just buying income. It's getting rich slowly. Like this shit won't happen. To be honest, it can happen as aggressively as you want it to. Like if I wanted to now, right, I could just completely sign my life away to buying like flipping 50 houses in a year or something. Like it will be very painful. And that's something that you'd almost have to condition yourself to understand in this. Like, obstacles are always going to be a thing. Like even with these, there were a bunch of times I thought, fucking hell, like I just got these bridging loans, right? I think it was about 400 or 500k. I had basically debt, right? Bridging loans. And if the projects went to shit, then I'd be pissed, right? I'd have to be left holding the L on it. So it's like the more you try to scale, the faster you try to scale, the faster you try to see results, the riskier it gets. But with more risk comes more reward. So I say that to say all of this, like if I wanted to, I don't know, buy 20, 30 houses in a year, do so many projects, whatever, to accelerate the results, I would experience that freedom a lot sooner. But then also the stress, I'd experience a lot more of that as well. And that's something that you have to be calm with it. But I can't even lie, it's very much worth it. Like with each project I do, as much as it is painful to a degree, right? It's always a lot sweeter at the end when you see the finished product and then you get people in there and it starts earning. It's the best feeling ever. So this is one of those. Property it's get rich slowly, but it's get rich surely. Like the property isn't gonna go anywhere. It's gonna go up in value, and people are paying me each and every month. It's like it's a no-brainer. That's why I entered the game, and that's why I'm looking to play at a high level, right, for the foreseeable. So rent to renters, deal sources, this is always like the natural next step. If you're in property already, but you do, whether it's like rent to rent, you source deals for other people, you're making landlords richer, it's time to do it for yourself, to be honest. Like ownership will always be the way forward. It's why the wealthiest people park their money in this very thing right here, right? Like it's almost like a cheat code. And once you understand that and you make it work for you, voila, it's absolutely amazing still. But it's just about getting started. That's the main thing. Just get started, do something, get the first one under your belt, and then keep on going from there. Really, that's my plan anyway. To just continue buying and developing, doing at least 2 to 3 a year, at least. All right, and then compound effect. The more you do, let's say the more houses I buy in a couple years, once I'm at like 20 or something, imagine the amount of equity I would have built up in all of those houses. I can then leverage against that to just buy more, develop more, right? And it's just a game at the end of the day. It's actually just a game. Like the more you do, the more fun it becomes. As long as you're always enjoying it, that's the thing. And as long as you're making money, then it makes sense still. But killing yourself is like to earn and stuff like that, right? Like earning an income is one thing, but then having things work for you, like houses, having it work for you, because someone's always going to need a place to live, you know. You're never really going to be short of tenants. Like we're in a housing crisis. I was about to say housing crisis. So yeah, just bring more housing to the market. Right? Help this this problem that we have, and then earn from it as well as a result. Right? Problem solution. That's what life is. So yeah, gamify it. That's what I'm doing anyway. I'm just gonna continue to buy these, right? Just continue creating more spaces. Yeah. Do what the government is failing to do, ultimately. So that's you guys will see more of these, a ton more, because I'm not stopping, and I'm gonna continue to show all of like the things that I learn along the way, the lessons, the obstacles that I face, everything. To be honest, if you guys have questions as well, any questions relating to this or externally, just anything that comes to mind, just ask it in the comments. I'll try to make a video about it. But that's that. These, yeah, I think it took us about 6 months, if I remember correctly, 6 months to develop these houses. We bought them in October, finished them April. Yeah, so what's that, 6-7 months, around there. He spent 200 grand on both. So all in, we bought one for 132,000. We bought the other one for 120,000. So that's 252,000 it should say. I just rounded it down. And then our development costs were 400,000. So we're all in at 650. Now granted, you've got finance costs, you've got furnishing costs, you've got architects' fees, etc. So if we round that up again, let's just say another 50,000 in fees and costs and stuff like that, right? All in at 700,000, right? Then we got it valued 440,000 times 2 minus 10,000, because this one got 430, so 870,000 minus the 700,000, right? So roughly that's how much value we created, £170,000 in like 6 months. So it's yeah, it's cool, it's good. It just shows that it's possible. Yeah, it shows that it's possible. Not saying it's like easy and you can just fucking snap your fingers and it's done, but it's not rocket science. And as long as you have the formula and you have the blueprint and you know how to do it, you can do it, right? Much of what we don't achieve is because we tell ourselves that we can't do it. I used to think the same with this shit as well until I decided to do it. Now, granted, some parts of it were painful because I was like, fucking hell, how the hell do I do this? It was my first time, blah, 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 developing at this scale, but it's very much possible. And as long as you've got a clear roadmap to follow, right? You just identify a goal, right? So that's the end destination that you want to get to. And then you map out the route that you need to take to get there. And that's all I did, which is what brought me here, right? And it's going to take me down that path of continuing to buy and develop more. Who knows, down the line, I might venture into some next up business type or whatever. But for now, just rinsing and repeating this. Shiny penny syndrome is a thing, and it plagued me for a while, right? But once you've stumbled on a formula that works, you just rinse and repeat. It's almost like, say if I'm playing FIFA and I've got a method that I use to beat someone all the time and I'm just winning games. I don't need to change up that strategy or that formula. I just keep rinsing and repeating the same thing until it doesn't work anymore, right? Then you pivot. And that's a big mistake that we make, is that we think things need to be so complex. And much of life is easier than we make it seem, right? You just find something that works. Once it works, you've got evidence that it works for you, just rinse and repeat. If you're doing something else, you're making a lot of money and you're thinking what to do next, and I'd just run to property, to be honest, whilst still doing that other thing, right? So you've got the thing that brings in the fast cash, park it off in the thing that brings you the slower cash, right? And that's what this is, because this will always be here. It's the safest way of growing your wealth, I think. Someone has another way they can apprise me of, then do let me know, but this is it. Yeah, this has been kind of a long-ish introspective type of video, but hopefully you lot have got some type of insight from it and you've left with some type of value. So yeah, I thought I'd just show you this last room again. But yeah, next video, I don't know what I'll be talking about, something that comes to my mind, and I'll just yap away as I have been. But until then, you lot like, subscribe. If you want to work with myself and my business partner, there will be a link in the, I think it'll be the description of the comments, something of the sort. All right, learning more about this type of stuff. Investing wise as well, same type of link, it will be there for you to see. Other than that, you lot enjoy the rest of your week, day, night, morning, whenever you're watching this, and see you later.